School district voters across Minnesota today decided whether they wanted to dig deeper for education. Tonight, we begin with a school-related money matter.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. This is an impact that refugee resettlement in our area has on our local school districts. The three main ones in the FM Metro, West Fargo, Fargo, and Moorhead.
The districts combined are currently spending millions on this. And with the FM Metro, a major resettlement area, how does it affect our students? And how much is it costing you? Valley News Team's immigration and relocation reporter Bradford Eric sits down with school district officials to answer these questions.
One question on our survey that we commissioned asked you, how do you feel public schools in the area are being affected by refugee resettlement? Would you say they are being positively affected, negatively affected, or are they not being significantly affected either way? 20% of you replied schools are positively impacted. 47% said the impact is negative. 18% of you did not think there was any impact, leaving 15% unsure of the impact. We begin at West Fargo Schools, a rapidly expanding district educating nearly 10,000 students.
Large district by North Dakota standards, probably third largest in the state and growing at 500 to 600 students per year.
And this school year, Superintendent Dr. David Flowers reports 688 students in the English Language Learner or ELL program. Roughly 7% of the student population needs help learning English.
So that's the first step, is to give that assessment and then to match them with the services that they need based on their level.
When a new refugee student moves to the district, they are given an access test, which determines how well they speak English. The student is then placed into one of 4 levels based on that test.
Right now, we have 132 level 1 students, which is the lowest level. They have little or no English.
Flowers reports total expenditures for last year for the ELL program to be over $2.6 million. That goes to teacher salaries for 35 people, salaries for 6 paraprofessionals, and a social worker, a coordinator, and a homeschool liaison. 44 employees total. Additionally, the district contracts out for interpreter services too.
Is it a burden on the district?
I would never want to have the term burden used in connection with the ELL families and children that we serve. I believe they're an asset in our community and in our school district. Feedback that wishing that we didn't have these students or anything, those feelings might be out there, but they're not expressing that to me.
When I told Superintendent Flowers about the study and what the findings showed,
I'm saddened by that a little bit. 29% of our children come from poor families. Do we call that a burden? No, it's a circumstance. But we are educators, and we are dedicated to teaching all the children that come through our doors.
I would never call it a burden. I would say that what it is it's an opportunity for us to make sure that we provide educational services to the kids that come to us, and no matter where they come from.
Over at Fargo Public Schools, Superintendent Dr. Jeff Schatz says his district has no control over making decisions of where people are going to be resettled. Fargo schools educate roughly 11,200 students.
We would say 950 refugee-type students. You add other students who qualify for the program, you look at the overall services that we provide, we say it's about 10% of our population of students.
That roughly 10% of the student population is taught through 26 full-time ELL teachers and about 40 contracted out interpreters. Add together teacher salaries and the outsourced interpreters, the total cost comes to about $1.9 million and change.
Any child who moves into the Fargo School District attendance area by law has to be educated, and so regardless if it's an ELL student or any other student or any other family that would move to Fargo, by law we are mandated to provide an education.
Dr. Schott says when a refugee family is resettled here, Lutheran Social Services contacts the district's ELL program director. It's then determined what school they will attend based on where they will live.
If anything, we've seen some increase in secondary migrants, and that is people who have been resettled in the United States but have moved.
I think the biggest difference that we are seeing in Moorhead is the number of new speakers. So from past years, we have about double the number of new speakers. So the total number hasn't changed that much, but the language needs have.
Missy Eidsness is the Assistant Superintendent of Learning and Accountability for Moorhead Area Public Schools. She says Moorhead is not a direct resettlement area, meaning refugees are not directly placed in the community. The students requiring ELL help are previously brought to another community in the U.S. and then moved to Moorhead.
We're at about 444 students that we serve in our English language program.
Assistant Superintendent Eidsness says that's about 7% of their over 6,000 student population, just a slight increase from the previous school year. Moorhead area schools report spending just over $913,000 for ELL services. That includes almost $890,000 for 10 teacher salaries and over $24,000 for outsourced interpreters, with $8,000 of that strictly for the English learners.
But it does show that maybe there are some misunderstandings that we need to maybe be a little more public about.
I shared the survey findings with Assistant Superintendent Eidsness regarding the perceptions of impact on the schools.
I think it's good for me to hear that that's the perception out there, but our community is the mix of all the people within it. And so to segregate off a group, I think just doesn't work well for how we think school.
Each district I spoke with said it was not a burden to be spending so much money on teaching refugee children. And in North Dakota, Fargo and West Fargo added they would like to see more funding to expand services in the ELL program, as they are only funded based on the previous year's enrollment. For example, for the 2015-16 school year, the state money was based on the 2014-15 ELL numbers. Any increase at the start of school requires money to be reallocated from other areas of the budget. Remember earlier this year, the CEO of Lutheran Social Services, Jessica Thomason, said about 60 more people were coming to the Fargo, West Fargo area through the end of September, and it's likely some children were a part of that resettling. Bradford Eric, Valley News Live.
We have the full survey posted on our website, valleynewslive.com. Click on the hot button to check it out. Stay with us, as tomorrow we talk with the Fargo Police Department about the changes and the challenges involved in keeping so many diverse groups of people safe and accountable in the eyes of the law.